We got all the rings gapped. We did the old cutoff wheel in a vise kind of method, which is the least probably accurate method of doing it. So we definitely have ring gap. So my the old man that teaches at the School of Automotive Machinists, Judd, he said, gap your rings too loose and you'll know about it. He said, grab your rings too tight and everybody will know about it. So we went with just the I'm going to know about it kind of way of doing things here. And we also capped these guys off. So we put our little plugs in. They're brass. Boy, they are soft. And our tap was shitty. So, but we're not going to have any oil pressure issues because of that unless shit falls in the oil galleys, screws up the bearings, and then we have oil pressure issues because of that. Who knows? This is the things you have to worry about when you let the magic out. So I think we're gonna go ahead and start slamming the crankshaft back in, and the crankshaft, the pistons, the rods, all that good stuff. So why not? And I will say that for next to no money, just your 3D print time, this guy was pretty cool because I didn't want to take I just didn't take the rings off the bottom of the pistons because they're kind of like a pain in the ass, that little springy thing and whatever. So this guy was able to push those rings nice, square, deep into the cylinders where we could check the ring gap, and we got, like I said, plenty gap. And yeah, so next to no money. Just a little bit of print time, literally a couple circles. If I can figure it out, and I'm horrible with CAD stuff, I'm sure you can. So let's get the crankshaft and pistons and rods back in it. All right, crankshaft back in. I still got to torque these guys down. I got to look at the torque specs. I can't remember. I think it's 65, but who knows. What I do is get these guys all kind of lined up, and as I hit them with a blap gun, just like one blap with my little 3/8 guy, so it's not hardly any power going in, but I'll do them down the line, and as I go down the line, each time I'll stop and check the crankshaft just to make sure that we didn't bugger up anything, and everything's doing like it's supposed to do. And then, give it a hammer smack on the front and the back to help this guy seat the thrust bearings where they need to be, and then just go back and torque everything down. So that's where we're at, is the figuring out the torque specs so we can get this guy torqued to spec. It's 10:30 at night on a Saturday, but we got this guy all buttoned up, so pretty happy with that. We got all the galleys drilled, tapped, the cylinders nice refinished, kind of, sort of, with the dingle ball thing, and got everything torqued back, gapped the rings, got this guy all torqued back to spec. That's where we left off at, was this guy is now a short walk. It is a short walk. It's not long. No, it is a short walk. And yeah, we got all the cylinders honed, and the pistons gapped, and we got our sills guys plugged for the oil galleys, and we got the surface scraped with a razor. I can use a little bit more scraping in a couple spots there, but we'll go back and double check that. What I do have is a camshaft. I got this cam. I was watching Richard Holdner's, and that is his YouTube channel name. It's Richard Holdner, Holdner. I do believe, and if I'm messing that up, I apologize. Surely you guys have heard of him. So anyway, Richard, he did this video called Sloppy Stage 2, and of course, if you're watching my channel, you're most certainly familiar with the Sloppy Stage 2 cam. And basically, it was like a Sloppy Stage 2 cam versus the world. But it was a bunch of camshafts, and he used, different camshafts along the line of the Sloppy Stage 2. Camshafts, there's only so much you can do with 365 degrees and so much lift that's allowed within your cylinder and your coil bind. So, you know, there's a lot out there. But one of the cams he showed was like this mild cam, the Summit cam. And you'll see on the Summit cam, it is, what does it say, 218? 218 intake, that's the duration, and 227 exhaust, which is a lot more exhaust than intake. And the cam lobe separation is 12 with a +2 on a +2. So he ran this cam in with all the other cams, and it didn't make any more peak horsepower than, you know, some of the other, you know, turbo cams or stage 2 cams, whatever. But it made a lot of horsepower clear across the board. Now, an LS9 cam is a decent cam for half the price of this cam, and this is a Summit cam. It's made in the USA. It's probably ground by Elgin or Comp Cams. There's only so many companies here in the States that grind cams, so I'm sure it's a big cam distributor that grinds it for Summit, just like they do all the other small companies that are out there. They have their cams ground by some other fancy company that makes just cams. There's a lot of that for a lot of the other smaller companies, and they name their stuff and ship them out. So if you buy somebody's cams, certain people only buy the cams, they show up in Comp Cam boxes. But it is what it is. And that's neither here nor there. It makes no difference. Like I said, there's only so much you can do with 365 degrees. It's really interesting stuff. Like, I did take a class on building engines, and about 2 weeks, I guess, maybe 3 weeks was spent on camshafts and how to kind of pick a cam. And there's some generalities in cam. But the neat thing about this guy is that it made more horsepower than a stock cam, and so a stock cam makes decent low-end horsepower and not a lot of top-end horsepower, so it looks kind of like a whoop, like this. Now you'll swap any cam out pretty much, and it'll go like this, and it can easily add quite a bit of horsepower, like 50 to 75 horsepower in the top-end range, because that stock camshaft isn't really made. It's made to deliver broad power band. Well, the LS9 camshaft actually makes less horsepower than the stock cam, all under the, you know, basically under the curve, till the crossover. And I want to say around the crossover, you can look this up, all this stuff's online, but the crossover, then it picks up and it makes that extra horsepower. That's fine. So that might be great. It'll keep a lot of the power out down low, and then, you know, ramping it up high, and there could be all kinds of uses for that. But this guy, I usually don't rev it past 6,500 RPM, and most of his life is spent between like 3,000 and 5,000 RPM, to be quite honest. So that's why I went with this cam. We're keeping everything else the same. So we're just gonna use the stock heads. The heads on there have Comp 918 springs, which I think are really an interesting spring. It's not as heavy as a lot of the springs, but it's still quite a bit heavier than the stock. The neighbor has 2 new baby goats, and they're so cute. Do you guys want to see them? Of course you want to see them. My battery's almost dead, so let's check out a look at the baby goats. You guys see them? Bah! Bah! There they are. Where are they at? There they are. Bah! Bah! Baby goats. How cute is baby goats? Bah! Bah! This one's got turbocharged. Bah! Mama goat. Bah! All right. So anyway, that's why I went with that camshaft, and I'm looking forward to using it. And we're gonna install it in the engine and start getting this guy back together. We got baby goats in the background. Bah, bah, bah. I'm the goat whisperer. Bah, bah. Okay. All right, back to engine assembly stuff. All right, I think we got this girl all just about done. So bottom end put on, top end put on, put the sensors on. I pulled this guy, right, meow, out of my other one. It's got a quick disconnect on it so I can use it for a turbo feed, and that worked pretty good last time, so we're gonna keep doing that. And all these guys, these are all 18, I believe 18 foot-pounds, but the back ones are only like 8.8 foot-pounds, so be careful when you're doing that. Realize that the back 2 bolts, these super long ones, have a different torque spec than the other ones. But yeah, a little bit of RTV in the corners like always. We did take and paint the cancer block. I was going to paint a dick on it, to be quite honest, but the resolution, the spray can, was like a wide fan pattern, which didn't work out too good. So I gave it a spray and it did like half the block with 1 squirt. So no cock block, but it looks a little bit better. Since I already had sprayed it, I was like, well, I'll just get it out and use some cardboard to block the heads off and give it kind of like a once over. So let's spin it over and show you the top end. So yeah, and I put the crank position sensor back in there, torqued all the front cover bolts. The back cover bolts need to be, I don't have this thing spaced off so I can get to it real well, so the back ones will need to be done once we get better access to the back there. But yeah, everything is, for the most part, all squared away. It's squared away. Yeah. And yeah, not too bad. So we're ready and hoping for good things for new iron 5.3 with the fancy Richard Holdner hot cam. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, because I like to tell you what I'm gonna do, it's important, but this block, I don't want to just leave it like it is because it's a disaster right now. So I'm gonna take and slap all of the parts kind of half-assed back in it, and that way everything will be together, even though I'm not going to worry about replacing the bearings and, you know, the crank's all jacked up. But we'll have everything kind of back together, so that way someday if we come back to it and say, hey, you know, it'd be fun to line hone this guy and maybe do like a little bore or even sleeve it and make it a 427, at least we'll have all the parts kind of co-located together, and we won't be trying to figure out what happened to this or that or whatever. So we're going to throw that together. None of that is anything you want to see. So yeah, anyway, making progress, that's a good thing. Decided, you know, since we got this guy up and torn apart yet once again, why not just go ahead and do it all the first time, do it complete and do it right. So like I've told you, I think before, I don't know, we got the vintage air system coming, so this passenger side fender's got to come out. The whole entire dash, much more than I will care to mess with, is got to come out. And that's what we're going to be getting into next, is pulling this all apart. I got a fancy aluminum radiator for it too. But oh, you see my head studs? Look at these fancy ARP head studs. Oh yeah. So yeah, we'll button this up, tuck it away with a garbage bag over it to keep it nice and warm and safe, and then the other one we'll assemble just to kind of keep everything together, and then we'll start working on ripping the dash out of all this mess. Whew. Hot. See, poor Bob. It's so hard. It's hard. It's a hard sheep life. Just laying by the hay, eating. Bob! He's mad at me because he kind of got his ass. He kind of got his ass whipped because he got in the backyard. He knows he's not supposed to. So what he'll do is I'll leave the back door open so I get a little bit of breeze in here, even when it's like 100 degrees. A little breeze feels nice. But if I do that, then what happens is when I walk away, old Sneaky runs through the back door into the wife's garden and starts eating all the wife's garden stuff, which is bad because then she gets mad at me and it's somehow my fault. And then Bob gets his ass whipped. So he's kind of mad because he got an ass whipping, which is well deserved because he knows better. You can tell he like runs through there like like he'll see like I look at him and he'll like oh and run on and then go right to where he's not supposed to be and start eating all the stuff he's not supposed to eat. Sneaky sheep. All right, so until next time, this is Mike with Monkey Fab. Be sure to check out monkeyfabgarage.com. That's monkeyfabgarage.com for all your turbo needs, turbo fabrication needs. You too can do this at home. We can help. Until next time, it's Mike with Monkey Fab signing out.